I'm Stacie Zinn Roberts, and I'm the host of Live Your Passion. I'm also the author of How to Live Your Passion and Fulfill Your Dreams, my new book. Yay, it's on Amazon right now. And we've got a great show for you today. Phil Falcone is the author of this book. It's called Addicted to Real Estate. It's really a great book, and it talks all about the ins and outs of real estate. We're going to talk to Phil about why he's addicted. It's addicting to real estate, why I can't stop, and why you should start. He's a full-time real estate investor. He started at the age of 23. He owns properties now in the Philadelphia area and Florida and probably other places I'm not familiar with. He'll tell us more about that. Phil specializes in buying houses with no money down, and he's got a really unique system. But more than that, this is his passion in life, and we want to find out why. So, will you join me in welcoming Phil Falcone? Hi, Phil.
Hey, thanks for having me on your show today, Stacie.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to see you. Now, I've got to point out before we go any further, what's the shirt that you have on? What is that?
Well, when you have a passion for what it is that you do for a living, when you love what you do, you are not shy about letting people know about it every chance you get. So I walk around with this T-shirt on. It says, "I buy houses. Ask me how." Now, it may not be the most attractive article of clothing in my closet, but it's the only article of clothing in my closet that makes me money. I get to meet all kinds of new people. And so I'm very bold about letting people know what it is that I do. I drive around with a pickup truck that has 18-inch high letters that say, "I buy houses." And, you know, things like that, you know, just screaming out to the world, "Hey, I'm Phil Falcone. Look at me. Guess what I do? I buy houses." You know?
Does it work?
It absolutely works. It absolutely works. I tell people all the time, I bought a brand new pickup truck. It's a black pickup truck, and I got these giant red letters put on it. And I spent like, I don't know, about 35 grand on the purchase of the vehicle. And in the first year that I was driving it around, I made $19,000 off of a real estate deal that I did. So not only did it pay for the wrap, which was like $1,500, it's going to pay for the whole vehicle. So definitely works.
Set it on the side.
What's that?
It's just because it said it on the side. Somebody stopped you and said, "Hey."
Sure, sure. You know, it's not just a matter of driving it around. It's a matter of parking it in places that are advantageous to the best advertising. So, for example, if you and I went to lunch together, I wouldn't park in the parking spot that would be the easiest one to walk into the restaurant. I'd park into the parking spot that gave me the greatest advertising. Okay? Usually a spot off to the edge of the parking lot close to the road. So it's just, you know, just telling people what I do. And sooner or later, when I drive around, I have 3 of these trucks that we drive around. So I have a partner and another associate who gets involved in it sometimes. And everywhere I go, people always say, you know, they see our trucks. We even have an I Buy Houses store, which is a very unique animal where, think of it like somebody trading in their car. Like when you're ready to get rid of your car, you drive to a car dealership and you trade it in. And you don't have to go through the hassles of advertising it and having strangers come to your house. You just trade your car in. It's very easy. And that's what people do. They come into our store and they just trade in their houses, essentially.
Wow, I've never heard that for a real estate concept.
Yeah, it's pretty unique.
Do you think that you innovated that, Phil?
No, there's some other people who are doing it. There's even a chain that's franchising in certain places of the country. They've sold a few here in Philadelphia. I am for sure the only independent I Buy Houses store that I've ever seen.
That's great. Now, all of this started at a very young age for you. Tell me how you began in the real estate game.
Well, you know, my parents were both entrepreneurs. My mother and my father both ran businesses that they owned and operated themselves. My father ran a printing company called Falcone Printing Services, and he did quite well for himself. He was, average middle class people, but we lived in a pretty nice house in Philadelphia. We had a nice life, and in the neighborhood I lived in, everybody's families were doctors and lawyers and pharmacists, and my father was a printer. But I was very proud of that fact as a young kid when I was 10, 12 years old. That look at that, my parents have a business with our name on it, Falcone, and he made that happen. They made that happen, and I was very proud of it. So the idea of being an entrepreneur resonated with me at a young age.
It's a beautiful story. It really is. The pride in the family name being on there, and it grew from there. So you knew that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, but how did you get addicted to real estate? How did that happen?
Well, I think subliminally it all started playing Monopoly.
Ah!
I used to play a lot of Monopoly with my mother, and I don't know if she meant to do that, but maybe she was trying to teach me some business skills. But I loved the game, and I sort of, what I did when I went around the board was my strategy was I bought everything that I landed on, which is pretty much what I do now, or try to do now. Every opportunity that comes my way, I try to buy it. And, the game of Monopoly, subliminally taught me that, hey, you can get rich buying real estate. But I don't think it actually resonated with me until I was a teenager. A very simple concept just entered my brain. I started looking at stores, and I said, geez, what do stores do? Well, they all pretty much do the same thing. They buy something at a price, and they sell it to somebody else for more. I knew people who used to do flea markets, and they bought something for $0.25, they sold it for $1. And it simply occurred to me, well, if all businesses buy things at one price and sell them at a higher price, then I should be in a business where the sales price of the item that's being sold by me is as expensive as possible, because it would give me, instead of buying something for $0.25 and selling it for $1, I'll buy something for $25,000 and sell it for $100,000. So real estate sort of came together, the monopoly concept and the real estate value that, hey, this could be a good business. But I still didn't know anything about it.
How did you learn, Phil? What did you
I told my mom I wanted to learn more about it. She called a local realtor in the Philadelphia area, and I spent one afternoon with a woman who took me around to look at some houses and explained the basics to me and to my mother. And from that day on, I was about 17 years old. I made up my mind I was going to be in the business. It took me like another 3 or 4 years to buy my first house. I think I bought my first house when I was 23, so it took me, like 5 years longer to do it. But once I did it, I was off and running at that point.
Okay, so you buy a house, but most people buy a house and live in it. That wasn't your intention.
No, I didn't even live in the first house I bought. I bought 2 houses in my first 11 months in the business, and then I moved into the second house. But both of them, one was a duplex, one was a triplex, so I basically had 5 different apartments at that point. So I lived in the ugliest, worst one of the 5. So I could live cheap, so I could buy more.
And what was the intention to keep buying? What do you do with them once you get them?
You just keep them, you rent them out. I mean, I'm really like a buy and hold kind of a guy. People always ask me, well, you must flip houses for a living, and I really don't. I've done a ton of flips. I've made a lot of money doing it that way, but to me, flipping is kind of like eating your portfolio. If you were in stocks, for example, and you needed some money, you'd sell off some of your stocks, which is counterproductive to building wealth. So I only sell my real estate when I absolutely have to, and I get in situations where I have to. When I need money, I gotta generate some funds. Well, I have to sell one of my assets. So that's something that I'll do when I have to, but only when I have to. And
you do this in Florida and in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, I have properties mostly in the Philadelphia area. I've been buying, I've been up here, for 25 years in this business. I recently started buying in Florida a couple of years ago, and I've got 18 places down there now, and I'm looking to buy a lot more.
Okay. So if anybody's in Florida or Philadelphia, call Phil. I want to talk a little bit about the book, Phil, because this is it's quite the book. It's really, really cool. You wrote this yourself, and I want to know, first of all, what prompted you to write Addicted to Real Estate?
At the time I wrote the book, my son was around 12 years old, and I wanted to document all the exciting things that I had done up to that point. So the book's only a couple of years old. So, you know, I decided to write the book because no one else would tell the story with the passion and with the energy that I wanted to tell it. So the real reason I wanted to write it was to document what I'd done up to this point for my son. But the other reason was, you know, I'd never written a book before. I don't even consider myself to be like a writer. But I have a lot of passion for what I do, and I knew that if somebody was interested in real estate, then they were really going to get some tremendous value out of my story. So I decided to see if I could do it, and actually it flowed out of me like no problem. I started writing the book on Christmas of 2010, and I had the whole thing finished by St. Patty's Day and self-published it.
Wow. And that's interesting that you say it just flowed out of you. When you are in your bliss, when you are expressing your passion, the thing that you're born to do, it does just come. It is not hard. Not that it isn't work, but it just sort of emanates, doesn't it?
Well, when you love something, you love to talk about it. You love to tell people about it. You love to share it with other people, and hopefully they'll get the same passion. You know, I think most people get some kind of real pleasure out of doing that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do. And the subtitle of the book is Why I Can't Stop and Why You Should Start. So briefly, tell me why other people should start.
Well, you know, there was a guy in my house this morning because my wife is buying some incredibly expensive shower door for our new bathroom. And the salesman was here, and he saw me wearing this T-shirt, and guess what? It sparked a conversation. And he said, "What do you do, flip houses?" I started talking to him, and he said, "Well, he actually said this to me. He goes, you should write a book." I said, "Well, I did, you know." And I told the guy, he goes, I said, "It's called Addicted to Real Estate. Why I Can't Stop and Why You Should Start." And he didn't even argue with me about why he should start, because he immediately said he wasn't happy with his job, and he's working for somebody else, and, you know, he'd love to get out there and make something happen for himself. You know, being an entrepreneur, to me, it's not all about the money. Maybe it is originally. You think to yourself, well, I'm going to get rich. Okay, and you can get pretty wealthy in the real estate business if you do it right. But to me, I would obviously love to be very wealthy. But if I lived my entire life and didn't really make anything other than the average wealth, I would still be in control of my own destiny my entire life. I'd be able to sit in my house in the afternoon and be on a video conference call with somebody talking about what I do. Why? Because I don't answer to anybody, and neither does my wife. Okay, so it sets you up for a wonderful life, in my opinion. And one that's very healthy and stress-free. You don't have to deal with all the stresses of the corporate world and all the problems that come along with that.
Phil, that's really powerful stuff, because most people work in jobs that they don't like. It's been described to me by some people as Groundhog Day. They get up every day, they go to work, they come home, they do laundry, cook dinner, watch TV, go to bed, and do it again for years and years. And it's not inspiring. And you just described the scenario that so many people would aspire to be able to be in control of your life. I'm sure that you work more hours than most people who work a standard job, but you also have the flexibility to do what you want to do, correct? And I think I lost you. Phil?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, you're back. Did you hear my question?
Hold on a second. We have a technical difficulty.
Okay.
Yeah, the volume just went way down.
Okay.
The volume just went way down. But I heard you.
Okay.
Well, you know, isn't that what your show's all about? It's about living your passion, right? What's your avocado? Telling people what it is that you love to do. And you know, everybody hears people say that oh, well, if you could just find what you love to do, then it wouldn't really be work. And, you know, and in my case, at least, I found that to be true. Now, I teach people how to do what I do, and I have all these free meetings. You know, I make a little bit of money off of it when I sell books. I have these meetings, and I sell books, and I have some packages that I sell. I sell some real estate contracts, and I sell some videos on DVDs teaching people how to do some of the things that I do. And they come out in droves. You know, I can easily get 50 people to show up for a real estate meeting in my area very easily, and they all have the same thing that, you know, some of them are investors. Most of them all have full-time jobs, like 95% of them, and they're doing it part-time. They're trying to build some wealth in their part-time, and that's something that, you know, real estate can do for you. Very few people do it full-time, and you know, I just didn't want to do anything halfway. If I get involved in something, I got to do it, you know, 100%. So, you know, that's one of the things that really turns me on, is I get to meet all these people, and there's so many different ways that we can help each other. I'm teaching them, but I get leads from them. They find real estate deals, and they don't know how to close them. And hey, Phil, can you help me with it? If I help them with it, I will help them with it, but I got to be a partner on the deal if I'm going to go to meetings and do things like that. So, or sometimes I'll raise the money for their deal, and I'll partner with them on that, or I'll find a buyer for a deal they're trying to sell. All different kinds of ways that we can help each other.
It's really interesting, and your business model is not the same as other people's. What is it that you teach that's different than the standard real estate methodology?
No, what I do is definitely different from what you'll hear in most places. First of all, I've been doing this for 25 years, since the age of 23. Now, if you can't figure out the business you're in 25 years, you better go find some other business to be involved in. Okay, I'm sorry. Give me 25 years, and I'm going to be the foremost expert on whatever it is that I'm doing. And trust me, real estate is not that complicated. It may appear to be complicated to a new person, but it's not. I tell people all the time, this is a very simple business. It's just like buying something cheap at a garage sale and selling it at a flea market, okay? You know, so what do I do? I specialize in buying houses with none of your own money, okay? Meaning that I'm not putting my own money into a real estate deal. I'm also not going to a bank to borrow money from them. I do not use banks. I do not get the support of banks. And I'll explain to you why. I also don't have to sell the buildings, okay? I can keep the buildings if I choose to. And then I can even sometimes get paid to buy them. So put that all together. What do I do? Okay, I teach people how to buy houses with none of their own money, without the support of banks. They get to keep the properties, and they get paid to buy them.
How? How does that work?
Okay, well, the first obstacle is getting people to believe that what I just said is true. All right, because a lot of people just don't believe it. All right, but I'm okay with that. And then the second part is getting them to just invest enough time in themselves to learn how to do it. Right? There's lots of different ways to buy houses with none of your own money. One way is there are plenty of people out there in the world who strictly want to make money off of their money. All right? So what do a lot of those people do? They put their money in a stock market, and if they're more conservative investors, they'll put it in a CD, for example. Now, 8 years ago, CDs were paying 5-6%. Now they're paying less than 1%. Mm-hmm. So the CD option for conservative people is long gone. Now, people still put their money in the stock market, and the stock market's done very well. And I am not a stock market expert. I don't know much of anything about it. But I can tell you this. The debt in this country is almost $18 trillion. Europe is quite a dangerous place these days with what Russia is doing and what's going on in the Middle East. I, for one, would not be comfortable keeping my money in the stock market. But I'm a real estate expert, so I don't know. I'm sure there's people out there who do very well in the stock market. But there's a whole lot of investors right now who've got nowhere safe to put their money. So what you do is you find people like that and you say, I have a piece of real estate. It's a $200,000 piece of real estate that I was able to obtain for $130,000. How was I able to do that? Because I'm an expert. I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm an author of a book. You wake up every day and you do whatever it is that you do. I wake up and I look for real estate deals, period. That's all I do every day. I'm doing it right before this call. I'll be doing it right after this call. That's why I'm able to do it, because this is all I do. Okay? So I found this deal. It's worth 100. I got it for 130 grand, but it's worth 200. Now, if I took that deal to a bank would say, we'll give you a mortgage of 70% on that 130, and they'll make me put up all the rest of the money. Plus, they will also make me sign papers that say, if I don't pay this mortgage, you can come after me and take anything else that I own until you're satisfied. Okay? And if anybody's ever bought a house, you're signing your name away on all this paper. Well, basically, you're signing your life away. You're signing away everything that you have to your name. Okay? I am not willing to do that anymore in my career. I did bank loans when I was younger. I am not willing to risk what I built spent a lifetime building just to get one mortgage. So what I do is I find a person, an individual, who wants to make money off of their money. Let's just say I offer them 7% interest only. I prove to them that this house is worth 200 grand, and I ask them to give me 150 on it. That would be a 75% loan to value, pretty much about the same range that a bank would be willing to do. But a bank wants to penalize me. They only want to give me 75% of what I paid for it. I said, well, I bought it $70,000 under market value. Why are you penalizing me for that? Well, bottom line is that a private individual won't penalize me. As long as I can convince the private individual, show them proof that the house is worth approximately 200 grand, they most likely will give me 100% of the money or even more. Suppose the house needs renovations, or it needs closing costs, or I need to put furniture in it and turn it into a vacation rental. I could borrow 150 grand, and that person is still safe. Now, what do I give them as collateral? I give them that house and that house only. They can't come after me for everything I've spent a lifetime building, but they can take that house from me if I were to fail in my agreement. I will gladly give it to them. Okay? So what I do is I find private individuals to fund my deals. It's called private lending. And if there are individuals out there, we all know people who might like to make 7% interest on their money. And I have a way that they can do it. And I secure their loan with something that they understand. It's a piece of real estate. It's simple. You can rent it. You can live in it. You can sell it. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So it's a very simple concept. Now, that's just one way you can buy houses with none of your own money.
And you have established a network over 25 years to be able to do this, but you can bring people in and help them to see how to do this. Phil, as you know, I created the What's Your Avocado concept that says that everyone has something about them that's special. Everyone. And we call that unique element your avocado. And the key to a happy life is to identify your avocado and then express it in the world. So I want you to talk to me about your avocado moment. The aha moment when you realized what you were here to do and how you're going to do it.
Well, I think we already talked about it because, you know, it all came together with the monopoly and that visit with the realtor. And since then, it's just evolved. Okay? I've really been doing the same thing for 25 years. So, and I figured out what I was going to do 5 years before it started. So you could actually say I've been, you know, thinking about this business or in it for 30 years. What I do now is, you know, the same thing. I'm building a portfolio of properties because I want to build wealth. I don't have a job, so I raise money through real estate deals all the time because sometimes you get paid to buy them. Like if I, for example, if I borrowed 150 grand on a $130,000 house, I would keep 5,000 for myself. Okay, as a payday for myself. I have to have income coming in, so I basically pay myself 5,000 out of that 150. And guess what? Because it's a loan, it's tax-free. So it's not a pay stub. It's not a salary, and I don't have to pay the government. I'll have to pay the government when I sell that property, okay? But I won't have to pay the government at the time I get to 5 grand. And my private lenders understand this. I explain to them. You realize I found this deal because I look for deals all day. I don't have a job, and I'm going to pay myself a fee out of your funds, okay? And that's how it works. Okay? So, you know, nowadays my passion is more just continuing the same, doing a lot of the same thing, but just at a bigger scale. I'm raising money, and I'm looking for real estate deals to couple the money and the real estate deals together. It's you know, a lot like playing Monopoly. What do you do in Monopoly when you don't have any money? You got to go around the board a couple more times until you can get some, and then you make a real estate deal, right? Well, that's basically what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm looking for money. Sometimes I got more real estate deals than money. Other times I got more money than real estate deals. So I'm trying to balance the two all the time and just keep the machine moving. And at a certain point, it's not about money anymore. It becomes more of, you know, this is what I do. This is my legacy. You know, I look forward to a life where I have a portfolio that's so massive that I could work or not work at any given time that I want to. So that's kind of where I'm heading these days.
And you so obviously live your passion, so obviously. So what advice would you give to other people who want to either join you in yours or find their own to live their passion? What advice would you give? Well,
let's start with the people who might be interested in real estate. I put out a tremendous amount of free information for people. First of all, free or very inexpensive. My book costs $20. You can buy it on Amazon.com. And what's really cool about my book is I didn't write necessarily a how-to-do-it book, because I always thought that would be so boring. I've read 300 real estate investing books. When somebody describes how to do a real estate deal, let's face it, it's boring, right? Instead, I told people how I did it. So imagine sitting behind my shoulder and living through these crazy roller coaster real estate deals that I've done in my life. And then you learn, as the reader, you learn just as I learned all of the lessons that I learned, because I didn't leave anything out. And so my book is a great concept to read it and to feel as if you've gone out and bought $10 million worth of real estate. Okay, so that's one great way. I highly, you know, recommend people to pick up a copy of my book.
I agree. If you, good book.
Thank you. And just like you do TV shows for What's Your Avocado, I have a TV show called Addicted to Real Estate TV, where I share with people, you know, all different kinds of ideas. I think I have 300 videos on my Addicted to Real Estate channel on YouTube. You can check it out. And if you go to my website, addictedtorealestate.com, and you put in your name and email address, I send out free episodes of my TV right to your email address. So, you know, I share with people all the time what I do, okay? And I've had other gurus that have said to me, hey, Phil, why do you give out all this free information? You know, gurus that sell information packages, the only way that they can make money is by selling you their products. I got nothing against that, okay? I have some products that I sell too. But I suspect that many of the gurus out there, they don't actually buy real estate. Make no bones about it. My business is buying real estate and making money off the real estate transactions. I'm the real deal. The products that I sell are more like just a supplement to my income. And it's also a way to help people out who want more info than just reading a book.
Okay. And what general advice would you give to people who want to live their passion? Maybe they are not interested in real estate, but they can see the type of life you've built for yourself. What would that advice be?
Well, I do have advice for people like that. And after you figure out what it is that you want to do with your life, if it's a business or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish with your life, you know, this T-shirt pretty much explains it's all in the attitude that you have. Your attitude is infectious. And when people are around me, they might not have any interest in real estate, but they can't ignore me. They can't. I'm allowed it. I was in a steam room with a guy last night. I was in a steam room for 10 minutes. Hey, buddy, what's up? What do you do for a living? And you know, guess what I was talking to him about? I worked into the conversation a little bit about real estate. You never know who the guy is. You find out what he could be a private investor. He could be a real estate investor. He could just be somebody I'm friends with. So you know, it's about talking to people, and when you figure out what it is that you love to do, you know, you just go around and you keep talking about it all the time. I tried to turn the guy who was quoting me a shower door this morning into a private investor. God knows he's charging me enough money for this door. So, you know, just being passionate about what you do. When you figure it out, what it is, what's your avocado? When you figure it out, you won't need to know anymore. It'll just happen for you naturally.
I agree. That's really good advice, Phil. Really good advice. So, in our final moments, let's give people the ways to get to you. Give us out your URLs and whatever contact information that you want to, please.
Well, I'm real easy to find. If you just type "addicted to real estate" into Google anywhere, you'll get bombarded with lots of things that I do. The easiest way for me to help you if you're interested in real estate is go to my website, addictedtorealestate.com, with the number 2. It'll pop right up if you put in Addicted to Real Estate, and put your name and email address in. I have meetings all the time. I do Skype meetings. I do free conference calls. I videotape my meetings. You know, I just did something where it was an 8-hour meeting, and I videotaped the whole thing, and I sell that meeting for $300. It's about how to use trust to buy real estate. People always want to know what kind of entity to use to buy houses with, and I use trust. And I recorded the whole event for $300. You learn something that took me a lifetime to figure out. So I'm really easy to find. Just type "addicted to real estate" in Google, and check out some of the great information that's out there for me.
Perfect. And on the Live Your Passion TV website, there will be a dedicated page for this show, Phil, and we'll also have all of your URLs and links on there so people can get to you really easily. Again, Phil's book is called Addicted to Real Estate. If you're interested, it's like the Bible. It's good stuff. And Phil, I want to just say thank you so very much for being my guest today.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Let's do it again sometime.
It's good to see you. And so I just want to say thank you very much. I'm Stacie Zinn Roberts, the host of Live Your Passion. My new book is called How to Live Your Passion and Fulfill Your Dreams. It's on Amazon right now and at select stores around the country. I also do speaking engagements all over the United States and Canada. So if you have a group that you're interested in how to live your passion, how to find your avocado, or anything else that we cover, please give us a call or email us, Stacie@what'sYourAvocado.com. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thanks. See ya.